November 11th, 2024.
Please be seated. The council knows my love for quotes. And there's a quote that I like to share. That comes from Colin Powell, who of course was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Secretary of State, and also the National Security Advisor for the U.S. He said, "The nation owes a great debt to its veterans whose service to the nation spans every decade, every year, and every day of our country's existence. Through untold courage and sacrifice, America's veterans have secured the liberty with which the Founding Fathers sought to establish here in the New World. Whenever and wherever the nation is called, in times of darkness and danger, as well as in times of peace and prosperity, Americans' veterans have been there. Veterans have proudly carried the torch of liberty for all to see." Of course, we know today's Veterans Day. What I'd like for us to do, if we could, stand, and let's give just a few minutes of reflection and meditation and thanks to those veterans. Let's stand. Lord God, we know that no one understands sacrifice more than you. This Veterans Day, we're reminded of those who sacrificed and served this country. You know everyone of them by name. You know the hardships that they faced. Your word says there's no greater love than to lay down your life for your friends. Our veterans have lived out this truth by risking their lives for the protection and the peace of our nation. I want to thank you for every man and woman who gave all in service for this country of ours. It's no small task to train with such discipline and to step out into the battlefield. Yet so many bravely filled that gap and marched forward on behalf of our people. Thank you, God, for your protection and our freedom, for our veterans, for our country, and our community. Amen.
And that leads us to public comment. John McCants. You will come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is John McCants, and I live at 2976 Bridgewater Street in Lancaster, South Carolina. And I work at Five Stones Church. And so that's my business here, and I wanted to make a brief statement, if that's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. My name is John McCants, and I'm one of the pastors at Five Stones Church. And when I joined the staff of Five Stones in early 2022, I learned that some tension had been growing between Five Stones and the village of Wesley Chapel for quite some time. As a follower of Jesus Christ, my desire is to pursue peace with all men. And so, I wanted to take steps to work toward reconciliation. But I was informed that because we were in the midst of a quasi-judicial proceeding involving attorneys, I was not legally permitted at that time to formally contact Wesley Chapel on behalf of Five Stones. The legal proceeding and its follow-ups extended through the summer of 2024. Since then, we've had some personnel changes on our staff, and when we were informed that we were no longer legally prohibited from working to restore right relationship with Wesley Chapel, we immediately started taking steps toward reconciliation and meeting with some Wesley Chapel citizens. In a meeting a couple of weeks ago, an involved Wesley Chapel citizen suggested that we utilize this public comment time to inform the council of our current position. So I'm here today on behalf of Five Stones Church to officially state the following items that will hopefully address any major areas of concern. Number one, we have no intentions of establishing a K-12 school on our campus. Number two, we currently have no plans for holding Sunday morning worship services outdoors. Number three, the walking trail along the edge of our property is presently closed with no immediate plans to reopen it. We are grateful to be located in Wesley Chapel, and we want to honor Jesus Christ by having and keeping great relationships with our neighbors. We want to repair old connections, build new friendships, and serve as an active part of the community. So I want to invite you, please feel free to reach out to me directly anytime. I'd be happy to meet and hear any comments or suggestions that you would have on how we could serve as better neighbors for you here in Wesley Chapel. So thank you. That's really all I had to say. And I made a copy of my statement here to share with each of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, do you have?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
All right.
Thank you. I don't know how many of these you need, but there's one more. Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I apologize, I was looking for the clipboard, I did not see it. As the HOA president of Lindenwood subdivision across the street, we have had some issues with the recent construction of the Carolina Pets. I've talked with Mr. Vaughn, our
Yeah.
city manager,
Vaughn.
Mr. Vaughn.
Planner.
City planning. The problem that we're having is that they had to dig across the street and then across the head of Linden Glen Drive. And in the process, they worked on water lines and other things, and they went in as far as approximately 50 feet into that street, digging and trenching. Shortly after they finished and resurfaced the area, we noticed we had several holes that were dipping down, some settling. I went to Mr. Vaughn, and he was able to contact some entities at DOT, and apparently there was a contractor that was hired to do the work, and they've come back and fixed the initial one of the holes. The other one, which has PNC, which is, I'm assuming because there's gas underneath, is still unrectified. Plus, they piled up all the debris from the excavation that they did onto this lawn of the individual that lives there at the head of the street. And it's been there for months. I mean, since they've done it. So I've asked Mr. Vaughn, I asked him if he could make and reach out to DOT, and he had. And apparently they tried to reach out to the company that did the repairs. But to this date, we still have this pile of, I mean, it's literally this tall, sitting on the front lawn of one of my constituents over there, and one of the residents. And I was wondering if I could get some help in trying to bring that to a resolution.
I think Vaughn and Emily were talking about it earlier today.
And I'm writing more notes.
We can follow up on that.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for Mr. Vaughn and his work and his efforts. I just they hadn't rectified it this time, so I'm asking for a little help.
We'll try to put some pressure on it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. All right. That leads us to additions, deletions, and adoption of the agenda. I need to, upon council request, we would like to divide number 8 and have a Parks Director update, and then an Events and Programs Committee meeting updates as they are. We want the Events and Programs Committee to be more than just a Parks Committee. So we would like to separate that in the future on the agenda. And I need to add under, maybe under planning, item E, an update on the survey, the resident survey that Benchmark has done for us.
Where are you putting that in there?
9E. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add or edit? Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to move item 6E down to 9F
To put it over planning.
under planning, since we've always talked about bonds.
Any other items?
Yes. I'd like to add an item D, number 12, regarding the mailbox, USPS mailbox. We mentioned this in council comments last month, but I'd like for us to maybe start some action, if not action, at least some dialogue on that. So I think that drop box, I guess is probably the word I'm looking for.
All right, council, anything else?
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So,
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? And that leads us to our our consent agenda. I have a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. And that leads us to our presentation by Mr. Van Harrell of the Tax Administration Department.
I've reached out to him a couple of times. I have not heard from him. Last week I requested the presentation. I requested it a week after he initially said he was coming, and then I emailed him again before the meeting to see if he was even coming, and I still haven't heard from him. But today is a holiday for the county and for most municipalities, so that may be a reason. Don't know. But I'll follow up with him after the meeting.
All right, thank you. All right, so then we'll just get Mr. Harrell and go to the Finance Officer report.
Okay. Our monthly financials, I was looking today over the flow of income and our expenses, and we're on track. There's nothing noticeable or concerning there. The ethics forms, I've gotten the 4 that I need from everyone, so we're good on that. B, our cybersecurity update. Councilmember Bailey asked us to follow up on that. We reached back out to him, and he said that given we have our IT person here, if we would like to meet with him once a year, but the only purpose would be to make sure our IT guy is, dotting his I's and crossing his T's. So right now we're getting ready to go up to February 1st. We start with Black Mountain Software, so we will no longer be on QuickBooks. We'll be moving into theirs, which will be a more protected environment. When we started to go through the worksheet with Mr. Wells before, it was about 50 pages, and half of it, the back half was just way beyond what we ever needed. It was more about, the first half was just more about knowing what we have and where it is, and I feel confident that we have a lot of that information, but I'll follow up on the first half of that and see if we can gather that information and just make sure we have it. Any questions on that one? All right, 6C, I have a cold, I apologize. So I started putting on here completed requests. Mike Como had asked that their emails show up on the website. I mentioned it last month, but I'll mention it again. The emails are now visible. And also we had a citizen a couple months back that wanted the annexation page and forms created, so I've also created and updated that. Amy and I are working very hard to try to keep our website current. So again, if you see something that needs to be updated or changed or fixed, please just let me know. We don't have to wait a month for council to get here. If it's something I can fix it, or change it or add it, and then let council see it. So the FY 23-24 audit is well underway. I'm just waiting to hear back from the accountant. She's had all of the information. She's going through everything, and she has not brought to my attention any concerns yet. Hopefully she won't. And the last thing I have is a proposed meeting calendar for council. The mayor has them if she'll pass them out. We don't have to adopt this tonight, but I did want to point a couple things out tonight. So it does say potential motion on the agenda. We are already, if you look in December, we are already there. It's time for elections again this coming year. So our rules of procedure say it's on the 1st, so that will be December 1st this coming year. We also have April 21st is just stuck in there for a budget meeting. It helps me when I advertise to put it there. If you want to change that, it's just simply a matter of calling a meeting for a budget meeting. I will plan to hold the budget adoption meeting on the May meeting, or either the June meeting, whichever you prefer, probably the June meeting. But we just have those on there to help remind you what we need to do. I don't see any major holidays except October 13th. It's some kind of federal holiday, but it's not our holiday. So we can tweak it, change it, discuss it, or we can come back next month and adopt it, whichever you prefer.
Council, you don't want to think on these days?
What's the holiday?
Indigenous People Day.
Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples Day, yeah.
It's, federal holidays and states and organizations too that we've not taken. I don't think we should put the budget meeting on here, as a placeholder, because that's, I would maybe put a TBD budget meeting.
I can just take it off. We can call it when we're ready.
I mean, okay, saying like a TBD budget meeting, but what do you got on here, we're doing in April? We just know second Mondays,
So
I
it's
just-
April TBD budget meeting?
Easter's in April this year.
Yeah, it's like, so we'll just stick it in between April and May, budget meeting, TBD.
It just comes around quick when we only meet once a month.
Yeah, but that way it's kind of there for a reminder, but it gives us some leeway on getting that date.
And good point, April 21st is Easter Monday, so.
And the South ends to be a holiday.
So
Okay.
we'll just scratch that out between April and May, the budget meeting, TBD. Just to remind us that that will be taking place. Do you want to vote to approve this calendar tonight or put it on our agenda for December?
I recommend we go ahead and vote on it tonight. I don't see any conflicts other than, again, just with possible budget meetings, if we're taking that on. I don't see anything
Okay.
that would be a problem.
Kathy, I think we take out budget adoption and just see where that falls, whether it falls in May or June. I'd be surprised if we got our stuff on together to do it in May.
Yeah, and that, when I advertise it, I won't be putting those on. That was just for your reference for discussing tonight.
So does anybody have any concern with these dates, or is there a motion to approve the calendar?
Make a motion to approve the calendar with edits that we discussed.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous? Okay, so this will go up on the website as soon as possible. And then that leads us to the enforcement update.
The code enforcement in the village is, we put out some notices and then we followed up with a few notices. The question I have on code enforcement is, we have a lot of cars that aren't covered. Well, there's actually two things. One, code enforcement by our ordinance is handled by the planner. So this is just something that I think you guys like it when I do this, so I've offered to do this. If this is not something council would like me to do, I'm more than willing to just, let me know. But as far as cars, I suggested to the mayor that we cover the cars, we change our ordinance to a text amendment, that our cars that don't have a license, that aren't drivable, in other words, they're missing one or more wheels or a steering wheel or something, that we require them to be covered. I did call a salvage yard down in Waxhaw that we can send notices, give them 10 days like our ordinances, have this other company pick up the cars, take them down there. He'll store them for $15 a day. It would be required for the citizen to pay the $15 a day if they want to get the junk car back, but then what are they going to do with it if it doesn't run? We're just going to go back and forth. The other option is the junkyard keep it and doesn't charge anybody, and he uses the metal to satisfy his debt, but that doesn't do anything with the towing. So just from my previous experiences, covering them is a good option. We just require people to cover their cars that aren't drivable. And that way, if they're working on them or doing something, they have to be covered when they're not using them, and that might resolve some of the complaints. We have one complaint down, I think it's Pilgrim Forge, right there at the end of Mayflower. There's a guy that's got some cars that aren't running up next to his house, and his neighbor is just very upset about it. And if either we follow the ordinances or we don't, and the ordinances are that we put a tag on them and that we store them for a certain period of time, and then from there we either keep them or he gets them back and makes them run. In general, I have to read all the way down through them to get all the fine details. But so what do you think about covering the cars and a potential text amendment at the next meeting? And George was asked his opinion on it, so do you have anything to add?
I don't have one. I haven't looked into it, but I think it's a matter of preference in terms of how you want to handle, what is considered a nuisance in some areas.
How does our municipal ordinance compare to the county ordinance?
I don't know what the county requires. We don't usually work on the county ordinances.
Well, I need to know if ours are more restrictive or less restrictive, or on the same level as what the county
I don't believe the county has any jurisdiction in Wesley Chapel unless we give them jurisdiction. So their ordinances, their nuisance ordinances, do you know about their nuisance ordinances? I know I inquired about it when I first came, and I was told the county was rewriting their nuisance ordinances. So I don't know where they stand with that.
I'm thinking about donut holes in certain subdivisions where, like, hey, my neighbor's got a car sitting in his driveway, and you don't know anything about his, but he's not in Wesley Chapel. The one next door is, and we have to deal with that. So I just wanted to see how the county ordinance was written, if it's more or less restrictive.
Well, my answer to that would be, sir, they're not in Wesley Chapel. I can't answer for them unless we adopt their ordinances.
So currently, we say we'll tag them and move them after 10 days.
That's the gist of it, yes. Well, I either have to research it, find the VIN number, find the owner, send a letter, or I put a tag on it for it's either 7 or 10 days, and then if they don't do something with it, we can remove them.
So that's what our ordinance says, council. Do we want to have Kathy move forward with that for our nuisance cars?
Who would be the person going on the property to get the VIN number and that information?
The code enforcement officer.
Would that be something we could task Brandon with for safety?
Brandon's not a code enforcement officer. I can't really speak for Brandon, but Brandon was asked, not by me, but he was asked to go knock on someone's door about a code enforcement, and he clearly responded to the mayor and I saying that that is not a good idea. And if you want to know why, we'll have to speak to Brandon, but that's not, he didn't think it was a good idea for us to start using police force to go around and enforce codes.
That takes it to a whole new level when you bring law enforcement into it.
But on the flip side, are we putting our planner in danger by
Exactly.
having her walk up and knock on the door and saying, we're going to take your car and do this?
Or
Well,
our clerk?
or the clerk. Well, and that's another issue too. We might want to, council needs to decide if this is a role that you formally want me to take on, then we might need to look at the wording of the ordinance, and we also need to swear me in as a code enforcement officer. Right now, I've been operating under just kind of a code enforcement office, not necessarily as an officer, because I'm not an officer of this court.
George, do you have any insight on other municipalities?
I don't really, other than just anecdotally, I think most ordinances provide for the removal of junk cars that are, left on properties in certain locations. Some restrict it to certain areas of the property. If it's screened from, they can be junked if they're screened from the roadway
Halfway back.
or whatever. But I'm not aware of one off the top of my head that goes to the kind of more casual ground that Kathy's talking about. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I'm just not aware of one off the top of my head. I do agree with what Kathy said about, like, if she's going to continue in the code enforcement role, that she ought to be kind of officially deputized isn't the right word, but there ought to be a resolution confirming that the code enforcement position is part of the clerk's duties, or that she is named as the code enforcement officer. There's no question that she has that authority.
Well, there's two authorities here. There's the authority to send letters once a complaint has been made, and then there's the authority to actually walk on somebody else's private property, which is where the gray area or the safety issue, I think, becomes an issue.
I don't think that's an authority issue. I think that's a bifurcation of duty issue. So that's up to y'all how you want to handle that piece. But
How about we take this month and Kathy and I research, maybe like what Marvin, like some of our neighbors are doing, and we bring a plan back to council in December, and I'll bring a resolution for us to make Kathy the acting code enforcement officer.
Is it something that you wanted?
Possibly.
She's the only one that's managed to get those cars, those yards cleaned up in so many years. But I definitely don't want anybody door knocking by themselves.
No, and I'll say to that too, that I feel like I have an ability to work with these people and meet them where they are, and there's a fine line between being an authoritarian and being authoritative and being someone who works with you. And, I got a lot of thank yous on the properties that I had before, but, I would just ask that if you get any code enforcement complaints, please, just send them to me. I'll let you know how it goes. I don't mind keeping you informed, but please don't ask other staff to reach out if I'm not here. I'll handle it when I get back. That would be one of the suggestions that I have if we appoint me in this role.
So we will look into it and leave this agenda item on for our December meeting and see if we can come up with a workable solution.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, absolutely.
The cover you're talking about putting on top of cars, am I getting the two things confused? I mean, is this something where does that fit in? Putting a cover, requiring a cover on a car?
Visual.
But I mean, to me, that doesn't really fix anything.
It doesn't fix it, but it just takes away some of the eyesore. Like, if you look at the guy on Red Oak, he's got 7 cars back there. Okay, it's going to be expensive and probably more of a nuisance to have them all covered. But the guy down right at the end of that Mayflower Trail, the guy right there, he's got 2 cars up. He's working with them. He's tinkering with them. They're in his yard, and there's a fine line between going, okay, they're not running, we're going to come take them away from you, and you know what? It's against our ordinance. So if you can just cover it, we'll meet you halfway. If you'll just cover it Saturday when you're working on it, pull the cover off, do what you got to do, and then throw the cover back over it. It's not a huge problem, but it is our ordinance.
How many properties right now do you think we've gotten complaints on about this?
3, maybe. It's like we talked about before when, we would get a complaint, so we would not go looking for people, but if we saw similar things, we sent letters to those people because it becomes a chain reaction. Well, how come Bob didn't have to do it? That's a complaint. And then Bob says, well, how come Bill didn't have to do it? And then it's a complaint. And so we just go ahead and say, well, they got a letter too, they got a letter too, they got a letter too. But I found that fines are the way I word my letters are, it has been observed by the village that you are not in compliance with our ordinance. This is specifically the problem. And then the next paragraph says, if you will remedy the problem by this date, which is pretty gracious, then there will be no fines. And then right behind that it says, however, if you do not comply, I will retro back to the date of this letter, and it will be $50 a day. We will charge you at the end of the month and put a lien on your property at the end of the year. And it will continue that way until your equity is depleted, basically. And people call me. I mean, there's a guy down on the end of, is it Red Oak? The guy down there on the left that's using his property to store landscaping equipment. Both neighbors on each side have complained, and we sent him a letter that said, hey. And so he's ignored me, and so now I'm going to send him a bill, and he is going to be furious, but he'll do what we asked because it's an endless billing cycle that they don't want. And have I had to do that yet? No. Most people end up at the end of the conversation going, well, I just didn't like being told. And then other people are like, thank you so much. I just really needed an incentive. Thank you. So it's kind of going both ways, depending on how I talk to and who I talk to.
All right, so we will bring this back to you in December. So that brings us to our Parks Director update. Mr. Lepke?
Good evening, Council. So, not a lot to report. Business as usual this time of the year, moving a lot of leaves off the trails and getting the grass back to a healthy condition after the heat of the summer. However, there are a few things. We had a dog incident, I don't know if you're all aware of it. So, I think it was 3 pit bulls got out of an SUV, unleashed, attacked somebody walking their dog on a leash, injured the dog, injured the person. We have requested Deputy Wicker's assistance in accessing the flock cameras. We know we've got precise time involved with description of the vehicle.
So we all know the parties involved?
We know the victim. The victim would like to know the identity from the tag number of the owner of the attacked dogs so that they can verify they had the rabies shots, etc. So Brandon is on that.
I know Brendan replied to the resident that the deputy in charge of her case has direct access to the block cameras.
Okay,
So
great.
anybody at the sheriff's office can access that block cameras.
Is there gonna be action that's gonna follow?
Sorry?
Is there gonna be legal action or what's,
I don't know, I can't remember the number, but there was considerable expense for vet bills and hospital bills, so.
everybody's gonna be okay?
Everybody is fine, yeah. We had a good herd.
John, this happened inside the fenced area, the dog park area?
No, I believe it was outside.
So is this somebody that we want to prohibit from coming back to the park?
Yeah, I don't know how we do that, other than I see 3 pit bulls jumping out of a white SUV.
There is a
Get an
concern,
update from Brandon before the next meeting, see if they're having any luck finding or pursuing action against the Prince of Trigger.
there's a concern they live in the car. They live in their car. I think that's what they told me.
I think we have a responsibility here specifically to protect this from happening again, and if this is if this turns out to be somebody who has a habitual problem with their animals, maybe this is somebody we should say, we'd like to not come back to the park, and we don't want a repeat of this incident.
I have a feeling they do an investigation, if they find that it's a habitual problem, it'll be taken care of.
So I was praying for an update. Brandon.
Yeah, somebody has to be at the park to enforce any ban or something.
No,
I'm not there 24/7.
But it's a habitual problem, they take the dogs.
All right, some purchase items. Amy has got 3 quotes on the benches and tables. The lowest quote is a little bit below our budget. So if council has no objection, I'll go ahead and purchase those. So that's the real. Next one is a couple of things.
On the benches and tables, how close does this get us to replacement?
Pretty much there. Good. This will be it. Last year I'll be asking for the tables and benches. Landscaping plants, good time of year to plant. 2 things, regular landscaping plants and replacement of some dead ones, which will be below budget, purchases will be below budget. We know from past experience the farm nursery we've been using from South Carolina is way, way cheaper than we've done in the past. So, if it's okay, it's very difficult to get an apples to apples comparison because of the difference in sizes. We know from history the company we've been purchasing from is ridiculously less expensive than purchasing other places. So if I can avoid having to get 3 quotes by each individual plant size, I'd like to do that if you're okay, if everybody's okay with that.
What exactly are you looking for?
Camellias, gardenias, claria, dwarf buforde,
What about trees?
gardenia, I'll get to the trees in a minute.
Okay, sorry.
Shrubs that flower at different times of the year, so we have year-round colour in the park. So it's attractive.
Maybe we should help,
Okay.
like we should sunshine.
I'd be very interested, but I'd be surprised if it's cheaper. $40, $50 plants at Lowe's. This guy's selling for $15, $18.
Which one are you currently getting from Metro Lawn? Is that?
No, Aurora Farms and Nursery. He delivers. He won't take a little order for a couple plants. You have to order a bunch, but he is incredibly inexpensive.
Plants are beautiful too.
Yeah, and plants are really healthy, big plants. On the trees, Deb sold more dogwoods from the 25th anniversary.
3 more.
So I got 3 new ones to plant somewhere. I'll figure out where. And then we've got 2 dead ones to replace that I never got around to replacing in the spring. Those will not come out of my budget, will come out of the donation funds. But I'll pick up the tab for the delivery for the dogwoods on the other plants.
And I don't have this question for you or for Deb. Where plaques, the site feature plaque, for
Yeah.
example. Is that-
It's in,
Oh, it's in, okay, good.
Yeah. They're all in.
well, the other plaques are not in because the trees aren't planted yet.
Okay.
So all the plaques that we have assigned to a tree are in the ground. I have 3 plaques ready to go for the new trees once we get them.
So if we could continue doing more dogwoods, and we looked at doing more varieties of species of cultivars and dogwoods, so
That's a very good question. Basically, whenever we had our big reveal, you know, and here's the campground, I mean, not campground, but here's I want to go camping. Here's the, you know, the grounds and what we've done, and people just came out of the woodwork, I want to get with your Dina. And so we went ahead and sold those, but there hasn't been any interest in getting more. So I think we can pretty much, John, I think we can pretty much close up the dogwood, what do we call it? The dogwood
Grove.
yeah,
Grove.
I'm not talking about the grove, I'm just talking about even anywhere else in the park, if we're gonna.
But
Yeah,
the
but I mean-
dogwoods we purchased are all different. So we got a mixture of, some of them are all red, some are dusty pink, some are white. So I've got a
Yeah,
whole.
I know there's the different color ones, but there's also some different species. I know the ground was like, we're gonna be dogwood park, we're gonna be dogwood park.
They didn't all have the same Latin name. I don't remember what they were, but they didn't all have the same Latin
But I
name.
think it's a good idea if we're going to continue to get trees to get different kinds. You
Well,
know,
we did, the Boy Scout did a project with the different trees he planted on the north side of the pond. He got those donated from the nursery in Charlotte and planted those around the north side of the pond. And I'm constantly like, because we don't have black walnut, we don't have hickory. So I've been collecting hickory nuts and black walnut, throwing them all over.
That's gonna be toxic to some other plants.
Well, around it, yeah.
May I make a
So
comment?
that's another one, so you're okay with using the existing nursery. Okay. Then the last one, we talked about 3 months ago, but you guys wanted to see a sample of the border that goes around the playground. So there is the sample. The front side looks like brick. The back side has these little pockets in. It gets pinned in the ground. It's flexible so they can make it follow the curves of the playground surface. I explained last time to hold the mulch in, stop the dirt washing onto the playground surface and plug it out because it's supposed to be porous so it dries out quickly. Now, the pricing information is 3 months old, so I don't know if it still applies. I have to verify that with the vendor. If we did the uphill edge only of the playground, it was 3 months ago, 2,227 plus tax installed. If we did the entire playground, it would be 4,760 installed. And as you'll hear from Chairman Oliver shortly, we have some money available from events that will not occur that we budgeted for that could possibly be reallocated to pay for.
So you're asking for a motion on that tonight?
Well, maybe after Gordon tells you the report from the last events and programs and events committee, and you'll hear how much money we've got left. So and you let me know whether you just want to do the top edge or the whole playground, and then maybe a motion about taking money from, we're not using from events to that, whichever way you decide you want to go. But maybe up it a bit because that quote's 3 months old.
what do you recommend?
I'd like to see the whole playground done.
Purpose for this is to divert wash as it comes down the hill, right?
So when it comes down the hill,
Yeah.
it washes clay, dust, and then mulch onto the playground surface. The big stuff I just get off with a blower when I blow it every other day, every 3 days. fine stuff though, if it's raining, is going into the porous surface. So it
Why would we want the edging on the lower side of the playground?
so it looks nice and even.
I know one thing.
Will that be more real? This
I believe this is porous as well. This is it's made of the same material that the playground surface is made of. It's recycled tires.
And on that, John, is the reveal going to be the full, is that 6 inches? Or is any
Just
part of that going to be
yeah, just the brick, and then you won't see anything on the back because I'm going to backfill it.
Okay.
So this is the mounting plate underneath. I guess they drive pins through it into the ground,
They do.
and then on this here, I kind of backfill it to about here with mulch, and then when it gets soaked, it'll just permeate through.
And the opposite of mulch, you'll have to backfill that with dirt, I guess. And
Well, he told me they'll dig it out when they put this in and like get this base here level with the current rubber surface, the surface of the playground. So that, and then this will rise above the surface of the playground.
Is there a warranty on the product or on the color? No warranty on either.
It's made out of tires, so I think it's going to last them for a long time. I can ask them about warranty, but
Yeah, I think the question about going all the way around is a good question. 'Cause
Yeah.
you have some stuff blowing onto it from the edge. Now it would continue once half on downward, but then if you have a block, you think something that's there, I don't know, in the middle, leaves or something, maybe just piling up on that. I don't know, that would be the only.
if it's leaves, they'll just blow over the top of it.
Pile in my car.
So,
So as part
you wanted a
director,
sample, there's a sample.
Thank you.
If you want to do some work, let's do it.
but as park director, you're asking for half or whole, the rest of the whole park to be.
I think it would look nice.
Any more updates?
Do you want me to do the down now or later?
Sure.
So down, I heard from Amy Black. I was following up with Amy. They keep moving the goalposts.
we move it again.
New requirement. Amy had to submit a floodplain management plan and information on staff who are going to take care of that. That went to the state, she submitted it to the state, and the state will submit that to FEMA with everything else FEMA has asked for on November 22nd. The $1 million question, when are we going to find out? She doesn't know at all, but that's the only update I've got. The grass is coming beautifully. Those guys did a really, really nice job on that breach. We haven't had any rain since, any significant rain since Halloween. We still have ordering them for the fishies, the turtles, and we were asked, did you guys all see the sign off from DEQ on the safety? They said it's temporary, you've got to go back and fix the dam, but they're okay with what we've done. Amy has asked me just to keep an eye out to see if I see any signs of leaching with the water going under the pipe to the ground. I'm not seeing that. I have enough water for irrigation. They asked us to keep the level as low as possible, so I'm running the irrigation all the time, which has been good the past few weeks because we've had no rain at all.
We have to winterize them, do we not, pretty soon?
This one, the town hall, one done at the same time. When they come to Winchester, part one, I'll have them blow all these lines out.
How much notice do they need?
Who?
John, can you speak just a little louder?
Irrigation.
Can they speak a little louder so we can hear you over here? We're really struggling.
A week. Usually, it depends what workload is gone on installing irrigation system, but they're very good. Sometimes they're out in a day, at most a week.
What time frame are you thinking, December?
January.
Okay.
Because it's usually coldest, the end of January, like February. If I see a forecast a week out saying it's going to be freezing, I'll be on the phone to get it before we get built.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. And then we have our events and programs committee chair.
Well, somebody thought it might be a good idea to put a retired Marine in charge of this committee, so my suggestion of organized calisthenics prior to each meeting was good. So we'll have to go with something else. Joel Down is the secretary. He's from the Communications Committee. I have to thank John, also Pat, and Chris here. That did very big help helping me entrench myself with some of the details of the running things. I hope not to disappoint, so work on that. The survey, we went over survey questions, and I believe we added a few. Then John has the list, and I'm not sure where it proceeds for at this point.
So the suggestions made by the committee was sent to the survey preparer,
Okay.
and they have been included in the survey.
We did come up with a suggestion of possibly creating some advertising banners prior to the release of the survey to try to get the town on track for looking for this item. Maybe 3 double-sided and 1 single-sided banners placed in strategic areas throughout the town, and we thought that might be a good idea. The other thing that we thought of was we're still getting together as a committee. I still don't know all the parties yet. I've met several of them, but I haven't met all of them. We have obviously decided against the Fall Bash and Cocos and Carols as well. We believe it's probably not in our best interest to pursue that because of the size of the event, and it's one of our larger events. And we just don't have the real estate to safely conduct it. Even if we were to try to take it to the park, there are those people that for some reason feel the itch to step over yellow banners and disregard any safety protocols that we put into place. And I would feel really bad if somebody got hurt, especially little kids. And there's quite a few of them. And events that we put on out there are predominantly regulated by a large portion of volunteers, and I don't have a substantial pool that I can dig into yet. So I'm working on that to try to build up my resources as far as that's concerned.
Or did anybody from the events committee reach out to Southwood Church and let them know we canceled
I am going to do that myself. I have the lady's name, and I will be reaching out to her. I'm also going to reach out to Siler Presbyterian and introduce myself as well, trying to look for volunteers as well, so we'll see. Let's see here. Let me get back. Okay, because these 2 events are no longer going to be conducted, I have $10,000 worth of money that was allocated that, again, is available for maybe projects within the park as you see fit. So I wanted to make sure that the council was aware that that money is now back available. We are planning on doing even though we do not, John said we might be looking at June, July for the park to return to our custody. Depends on how things are going. It sounds like we're, doing a lot of prayers here lately to get things moving. If it moves back in July timeframe, June, July timeframe, we look to try to establish the car show, the Fall Bash, Cocos and Carols as the 3 main events that we're going to put on as for the town. We are planning to put on some movie nights. We would like to think about something along the line of some type of enhanced movie night for Easter. I was thinking that we could host it here, maybe a few bouncy houses, a few games, the balloons, the painted face, the kids always love that. And maybe a food truck or 2 depending. But again, I went to look for an area to maybe do a small Easter egg hunt. And I thought maybe we could step outside some of the areas here, maybe take a tractor and mow it down. The quote that came from the landscaper, you'd see me out there with a weed whacker before I would accept that quote.
And, that
Gordon.
area may be that area may be out of use due to asset construction.
Gordon, I emailed Amy today and said that in our current scope of work for the existing contract we have that we're paying for, the contractor is obliged to mow that field, can't remember, a certain number of times a year. So to avoid us spending any more money, I asked Amy to let me know what date you were thinking, and we'll just schedule one of the mowings in that right before the Easter event, and then we don't have to pay anything extra for the mower.
I thought about, well, that would be a good thing, because the quote that they gave Amy was like, not happening. So, I did walk the area out there, and I did find several anthills that rivaled condominiums. So I am probably going to be a little on the negative side as far as pushing out into that grass. The last thing I want to do is see 5 or 6 kids running around like they're on fire because they got ants all over. So that is probably going to be something I just don't think we need to pursue, I think safety-wise.
And it really may not be usable.
Yeah,
if you don't ask them
that's
to
right.
mow construction.
So we'll try to work around everything but that and put together something.
I can
And-
keep you posted on the.
Thank you. We had, I know we generally don't do events up here, but if we do a movie night and we enhance it a little bit, I believe we could use this parking area out here for staff and wheelchair handicap. And there is enough parking spaces here close by if we check with the realtor or the owner of these, see if we could utilize some of this parking that would be available. Would probably hold enough of the vehicles that we have. I've lined out a pretty decent layout that I think would be workable. And I'm not sure if we're going to be needing police officers, but we generally probably need 1 or 2 for maybe some traffic, I'm thinking. But I'll put together something a little bit more coherent down the road.
I had forwarded Pat some information about a lady at Cooperative Extension who does things at other parks
Mhm.
throughout the county. And she also works with schools, and she comes in and puts in programming, like, last year my students made bird feeders. They've done several different activities with her, and she will come to us and do presentations. So it could be
Outstanding.
programs that could be done for free at the park or at town hall. I'll send that email and forward it to you, because she's anxious, like, she's excited to add more opportunities to her
Fantastic.
schedule.
And definitely, thank you. Again, we're still looking to push forward with the car show, Fall Bash, Cocos and Carols for 2025 year. Again, dependent upon when the park is returned to our custody, basically, if you want full use of it, for the safety of those that will be attending the events. And I will be in contact with Southbrook, Siler Presbyterian, and the other churches in the area, because I just want to maintain contact. And we will work on our volunteers so that we can build up that reservoir, because our volunteers make the events. They really do. We rely heavily upon it because of the amount of people we have at these events. I think Cocos and Carols last year was 1,000. So that's quite a crowd to, you got handing out programs and guiding people and everything. So anyway, that's all I have at this current time. We are working hard. I do have one more business. My father passed away. He was killed in a car accident on September 7th.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So I'm going to be helping my sister close out the estate, and I will not be here for the meeting on the December,
25th,
because we're for the events and programs committee. I'll be down there.
December 12th? Is that your meeting? You've got one November
I'll be gone that
25th?
entire week. The December 12th meeting, yeah, I'll be down
December
in
12th.
Jacksonville, North Carolina, helping my sister out, trying to close that down. So I will not be here for that, and possibly the city council meeting as well. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. But again, I apologize, but I'm going to try to get everything done. Thank you so much.
Sorry you had to deal with that. Thank you, Gordon. So Gordon just talked about how they have, in lieu of not having events, they have 2 events for sure. They have about $10,000, and John is asking for a little over 2 to a little over 4,000 to do the
3-month-old price.
Service board.
2227 was the top edge only. 4760 was the entire loop.
So we can say,
So I would say no more than 3 if you do the top, and
No
no
more than
more than 6 if you do it all.
Good try.
Fine.
so council, I need a motion
If you can phrase it as approving a budget amendment
for X amount.
from
of
these
dollars.
events to that, and I'll fill it in.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
For what?
Give them enough funds, the 46, 40, no more than 5, to do the whole thing. So do I need to say,
To
make a budget amendment? Make a motion, make a motion.
From events
From events
to,
to fund
Playground edge.
playground,
Edging.
playground what?
Well,
Edging.
Edging.
for playground edging, that's right, yeah.
So we have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it. What, John, I have a question on doing the bottom edge. I'm worried about that trapping water in the playground versus letting it just flow out into the woods.
It's porous.
I understand, but in heavy rain, I don't care, that doesn't look that porous to me. Would you be okay if we started with the top?
It might cost more if you break it up.
That's true.
Could you just ask them?
I was just always envisioning doing the top edge where the water's coming down and not doing the bottom edge where it's going to drain out anyway. Unless you, purely for
I
aesthetics.
just think it'll look weird.
I think the motion passed. Did it? We didn't vote yet.
No, we haven't,
Okay,
it's
sorry.
still under discussion. So we have a motion and a second, any further discussion? We trust John with that part. The least I can do is give you what you need. So, all in favor? Unanimous. But please also ask about a warranty, just in case.
Yeah, I will.
All right, so that leads us to,
No, we have one other question before we get on the parks.
John?
Do we have any resource in Raleigh to help push this through? I don't know, you guys are looking at me like nuts.
You remember this little thing at the end of September? That little event,
mountains.
the mountains, the lake, and consuming all the FEMA resources and everything. You want to push against them?
We also really don't want to push because we have another outstanding FEMA issue. And we don't really want them to look at us real closely. We want to stay busy in the mountain.
DEQ really appreciate what we did with the breach, and they were talking very supportive of the dam reconstruction, and whether those people are consulted by FEMA, I don't know. But I'm pretty confident if FEMA asks any of those DEQ people at the state level, they'll be supportive.
They would refer you more to like a lobbyist on our behalf.
I was speaking more, I think it's maybe towards an elected representative of this area.
We really don't want to look at this right now.
Understood.
Give us a few weeks.
I got you.
All right, is that all the parks questions? All right, so that leads us to planning.
He is absent. They had a veterans affair up at Indian Trail that he had to attend, so he let me know Sunday that he wouldn't be here.
Wonderful. So Emily, can you speak to the?
Sure. We had a planning board meeting a couple weeks ago. We had one item agenda. It was, McCoy Farms. Sorry, McCoy Farms The planning board had lots of questions about things, especially the entrance. The development is a 43-lot subdivision off of Wesley Chapel Road, just north of the northernmost roundabout. It's going at Potter and Wesley Chapel Road. And DOT has required them to be a right-in, right-out only on their one entrance to the subdivision. And there will be a concrete median in the road to limit that development, but the planning board had a lot of questions about that and how it's going to work with a 45-mile-an-hour zone with safety issues. So they're working through some of the questions from the planning board right now. So like the planning board tabled it until those questions can be resolved to them.
I don't understand why that's a concern. There's already a lot of houses in another subdivision on the other side of the road, right there, near there, that has two entrances into it. On the other side of Wesley Chapel Stouts Road, it's another subdivision.
So the concern is the fact that the opening is only 14 foot wide, so like school buses, garbage trucks, and else like that are going to have a difficult time pulling in there. Even large SUVs have a hard time making that right in
So
only.
the entrance into the subdivision,
Mhm.
on the developer side.
On the developer side, yep. So it's a 14-foot wide entrance that you're coming from a 45, there's no extra lane. So you got to make that right turn into that 14-foot entrance with a concrete barrier going without, getting rear-ended.
Well, why aren't they required to turn lane?
That's our questions.
Those are the questions.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just took for granted there was going to be a turn lane. so-
Those are the questions of,
Yeah.
they need to be able to come back to planning board,
Right.
work out, explain
But the other
how, explain how it's really gonna work.
The other side of the street's probably got that many houses and there's no
Mm-hmm.
turn lane or anything there. There's never been a turn lane onto Potter.
Yeah, they-
When it was 45, you just run off the shoulders and take big ditches. And I apologize, did one of our planning board members want to get the update? Were you supposed to?
Was I supposed to? No, but I can. I mean, she's covered it. We talked about McCoy Farms. The big issue is where the entranceway is too narrow. We feel like it might be too narrow to make that turn, and also prohibit school buses, garbage trucks, any kind of large vehicles from making entrance into the facility. Planner Hines did talk to the fire department and the fire marshal, and they said that their fire trucks can mount the what did they call it?
It's a 4-inch tall concrete median that's
Yeah,
gonna
4
block. So not only is it have that like sort of that pork chop looking triangle area, but there also will be a concrete median so people can't make the turn and then, go around it. It'll,
An extended little meeting.
extend, yeah.
Yeah, pork chop.
So- That's not really how they're really officially called, but, the developers came back and said, because of all the proposed development work that's going on Wesley Chapel Road, DOT is requiring them to have the right in, right out only. And so that's where all those standards came. I talked to the fire marshal, Wesley Chapel and Union County looked at it and determined that it would not be a safety concern for them. We brought it to the planning board. They have a concern as to the actual safety of drivers up and down the road, turning in and out of that development, or especially into that development. So they maybe come back to the planning board and be able to show that it'll work. They just want more information to make sure it really will safely work.
I'd be more concerned about the distance from the roundabout. That, are they truly, because I'm not exactly sure where the entrance is going to be, and I know the roundabout's a little more on the south side than the north side, but if there's not really enough room, they may just have to sit there and wait until somebody lets them out. When it's way traffic, because traffic's going back up that roundabout like it does for everything else.
Yeah.
That was one of our questions, was to ask the actual distance, because when we were looking at the map, figuring out, obviously the roundabout's not on there yet, because we're roundabout, and we figured about 600 feet, which is not a whole lot.
So that white mill that's on the north side of that,
the white, like the
the
shed
corner
barn
there,
thing.
that shed, and then.
Yeah, so that's north, that's between where the roundabout's gonna go and where the entrance is at.
That's what I mean, the entrance will be just on the north side of that.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's like that entrance is gonna merge into that lane and roundabout. Especially if it's gonna be a right lane roundabout and then a straight roundabout.
Right, so those are all the questions that
There's
they're,
also questions about school buses, if there's
So is it
48 houses.
didn't meet the threshold.
43 houses, 43.
Yeah,
It's probably just,
it's just under.
this is all we need to know.
So they are planning to, they'll be back.
So there we go.
December?
Yes.
Oh, y'all meet in December.
No, it'll be back in November, hopefully, maybe. If they can answer, if they got their stuff together, it might be on the agenda for November.
And it's my understanding they weren't even here.
They were not, we have that a lot.
They being the developer.
Yes. But that leads to a lot of big work sessions that we have with planning board.
There's also questions about some of the houses along that creek and whether or not they're properly elevated.
I do have more information. I did get more information after the meeting from their stuff, so yeah.
But that was really the one distance we had.
Thank you all. I hope y'all get some answers to your questions in late November.
Sounds like you're asking good ones.
All right, so planner comments. Ms. Hines?
I
Hines?
don't really have any.
So, and I don't think we have any for, so just so y'all know, for item C, for the county stormwater study update, Emily and I both asked for updates, and we have not heard anything. So last we know, they interviewed candidates, and we don't know that they've chosen one. Neither do the candidates, I think, because one called me today and asked if I'd heard, I said no. For the encroachment study update, which is we will be receiving a contract from Labella this week to sign and get the process for that encroachment study done. Because we have to show that we are continuing the ball rolling to not upset FEMA further. Resident survey. The survey is ready to go. I have talked to Vaughn about whether or not there would be any benefit of waiting until after Christmas, with things are so busy. He said no, you're going to get the same people to respond now versus after Christmas. Amy is working on the flyer, we'll work on the banners. So the survey is live. I will send it out. I'll try to get with Amy and Kathy, we'll try to get it out tomorrow to everyone. I'll at least start with the boards and committees and stuff and get it on Facebook and get it on Sunshine List and try to start to get it out there. And then if in turn you can share it with your neighbors, your HOA. We need to get around 400 responses to be statistically significant. So we're going to leave it open until about December 15th. We can leave it open longer if we need to. But Vaughn said the more important thing is the push. Like, first push, here's a survey, please take it. There are 3 more weeks, please give your input. There are 2 more weeks, last 5 days, last day, give your input. So I'm going to ask for all of your help in continuing to push that out there so we can get some feedback. Yes, sir?
Is it per household or per person?
It's per adult.
Per adult.
Per adult.
When will Amy have the posters ready to post in the park?
I will get with her tomorrow night. She said they're almost done. She'll finish it tomorrow.
Do you have a definitive date, so that what date are they planning to release this?
It is live and ready to go. I just wanted to have it on like some sort of official flyer to share, because there's a QR code. But I can go ahead and send it to you. It just won't be on the fancy flyer. So, tell your friends. And then the bonds is item F.
Cavison has some work to do on their BMP ponds, but Danny has given me some bonds that we can release, just looking for council's
So
approval.
I'm a little confused. Why are you talking to Danny and not Emily? I'm just a little confused because typically this is a planner thing.
Well, it came from me because I keep a lot of information on the emails that I receive. I track a lot of things, and I noticed that Cavison, the conversation stopped around February, March, but I still have a lot of bonds with him. So I started asking Danny about would I be able to release the bonds, so it's included in some information, and it has to do with the BMP bonds. So those are the bonds that we're holding, the ones that have to do with the Cavison water main, the sanitary sewer, and the basin, some kind of basin, the water quality basin, but the others we can let go, and that releasing them is my part. I don't know anything about the basins and the bond, or the basins and stuff, I have the bonds.
Planner does. The planner usually has had this conversation, tell us everything's been met, or you need to sign off and release.
Well, I mean, I've got emails back and forth that I've been CC'd on, really, with Vaughn and Kathy and the engineer. So that's, because it's releasing it, that's why I haven't really
No, but we're
been
usually
involved.
told that it's okay for us to release it.
Oh, yeah.
That's-
We don't know independently that everything's been ticked and tacked,
Yes.
or checklist, that's all.
And, yeah, I say, at this point, it's an engineering thing, and that's why she's got all, and we've got all the ones that the engineering department has said
Yeah.
are
So Danny,
okay.
yeah, he said he approved the release of 3 bonds. They still need to submit the stormwater and sewer certified as-built. Once reviewed or certified, remaining bonds will be released. The current bond release includes roads at $51,450, miscellaneous, which incorporates trees, lights, erosion control at $35,312.50, and sidewalks at $86,937.50, and relevant bond numbers. There's also an issue with Heritage. I know we're approving phases, but there are issues with their stormwater pond too. I don't know if you know or have any information on that.
I do not.
She will follow up on that and get to it. I just kind of found out about that accidentally.
Kathy has a really great spreadsheet that she shares with me, and it has like a running list of all projects, and complaints, and emails, and she tries to stay on top of them with updates and stuff. That was one she found out in February. So we need a motion to approve these 3
The release of these
Can it
bonds.
be done in one motion?
Yes.
Council?
I'll make the motion, but we've got questions, so I'll make the motion that we approve the 3 sections of the current water release,
For roads, miscellaneous.
roads, miscellaneous, and sidewalks.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Boyce.
Yeah, of the total bond, Kathy, what, if we add these 3 up, is that half the total bond amount?
Well, we're releasing about $80,000 in bonds, and the ones that are remaining are, we have $146,226.5, and we have another one for $225,000. And maybe one for $518. My spreadsheet's hard to read, but you're welcome to look at it. I can clarify if you'd like.
No,
Almost $700,000.
yeah, that was,
Can you see? You've got your glasses on. Can you see? He bubbled the ones we can
How
release.
much is left?
They're all Cavison in the blue. I'm sorry, I can't read with my contacts that close. I didn't expect that question.
That's about 160, right?
That means 1,450
Right?
to 1,450.
51,450 is that one. That's a 5, not a dollar sign.
51,450, okay.
Mhm.
35,312.50 and 86,937.50.
Those are the ones we're releasing. Can you see the other ones that we're not releasing yet?
220,
225.
518, 101.25, 226, 559.56, and 146, 105.44.
Thank you. Close one eye, I might can see.
we're releasing 173,000 plus or minus, and there's
On your,
how much that's still remaining?
well, what we just added up, the 225 plus the 518, which is 740,000. $965,000, $1 million maybe.
So we have a motion, second, did that answer your question?
Isn't this the same community that we had the issues with the cluster mailboxes?
I believe it is, yes.
And has all that been resolved?
Yes. The
Yes.
post office said basically, nothing's changing, deal with it. So, any more questions?
No more questions.
We should remind us next time about giving their special request temporarily, put it where they want.
Yeah, that is a good idea to remember that. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? That leads us to a Board of Adjustment appointment. We have an applicant who we all know and love, Mr. Joel Dam. Oh, he's coming.
I thought that you mentioned. I'm just here, after our first Events and Programs Committee, I saw that, was looking at the list of available opportunities and saw it open and said, why not me? So I put in my application, and if you want me on it, you can put me on it. If you don't, I have no hard feelings. That's all.
Love it. So do I have a motion to appoint Mr. Joel Dam to alternate seat 1 with a term ending 6/30/2026?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, do you understand what the gist of the job is?
Well, yes, from what I understand, it's basically an appeal from the quasi-judicial hearings that may happen in front of you guys. And so if a planner or whoever maybe does not like your ruling, then they would come to us. And I would obviously not be the first person that they would see with on the board, but I would be an alternate if someone were to be out.
No, I mean, the Board of Adjustments as far as its function. Well, if the rules and regulations say no, and the council says no, someone can come to the Board of Adjustments and say, special circumstances, and you basically can overrule us.
Correct, yes. They appeal to us after your ruling, yes.
Exactly what he said.
Yes. And then we would find our findings and then base our decision off of that, yes.
Joel, thank you for your energy and willingness.
You're welcome.
Yes, and I wish you would bottle it and sell it.
Unfortunately, that is not how the world works,
I
but
know.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous?
thank you, I appreciate it.
Hopefully we won't be
Thank
seeing you too many
Thank
times
you.
in that seat.
I used to tell people, oh, it's an easy one to be on, and never me.
That's how we got Miss Izzo in. That brings us to the general updates. I'm going to say for item A, the dam remediation. John gave us a lovely, we're just waiting and praying and hoping.
There's more on that one.
Okay,
On
sure.
your, this is the one that FEMA pushed the deadline application for the major renovation. So I was planning to put the bids out, post it December 2nd, have responses no later than January 10th. Bid package is due by January 23rd. Hopefully it will coincide with our getting the money, or I can push it back, whatever council prefers.
Jody?
Kathy, do we have the revised?
We will get it. I'll take care of all that.
Maybe.
She's revised it. Well, she has it up to date for what I need, but she and I will talk extensively on the details to get it done, but yes.
Do y'all think December is good, or do you want to wait till January?
We should wait till January.
I would wait till January.
So can we just push them all back to January, Kathy?
I'll pick January dates and follow suit and handle it in January. Thank you.
Any further questions on that? Then we come to the audio video equipment. Do you want to speak, or
Sure.
just say when we, okay.
Sure. After Joel and I sat with Amanda and developed a list of the requirements, we then realised, oops, not going to work for planning board. We're going to go away from laptops to monitors. I checked into whether or not we can get monitors that Laurie could zoom on. No, you can't.
Well, then I won't mind.
You might be able to magnify just on your screen, but the only way you can get a monitor that this touch screen is when it's connected to that laptop. The remote touch screen monitors won't work. But there's some ability to adjust the image on the screen. I have the first appointment on Monday next week. The guy's been out of town. He's back next week. I will be meeting with one first so we can get a feel for the questions and the information he needs and the feedback he gives us before I schedule the appointments with the others. So I want to have a dry run with one of the guys before we dig into it with the other two. But the aim is to get the three companies who previously quoted apples, potatoes and grapes to be apples, apples and apples. So the first appointment is on Monday.
Warranty will be the same for all of them as well?
Sorry?
Warranty.
I know, we'll ask them that. We've first got to define exactly what we want. The way we've approached it is a requirement. We need to be able to do this, we need to be able to do that, we need to be able to do this. Let them, the first one, then tell us what equipment we need, and then I can take that to the other two.
Or no, I'd have them all do the same thing. Here's our requirements,
Yeah.
and then see what they do. And yes, it might be apples and grapes and watermelons, but you get that sense of how they truly are understanding what you're doing versus they're just cookie cutter.
And that was the original bids that you got. We came at it from an approach, what do we need, what would we like it to do? And so with John, you can see from those original quotes that we got, some understood, some were very, very good, and others could do what we needed. But understanding what exactly we wanted was the key to what we need, so.
Thank you, gentlemen, we appreciate it. Any further question about audio video before we move forward? I think item C, we covered under cybersecurity. I am excited to convert to that Black Mountain software in February. That leads us to item number 12, commercial center development update. Council will be having a closed session in just a little bit to discuss revised easement agreement with Aston Properties. They are hoping to keep their ball rolling to continue build out of this shopping center. Taco Bell is broken ground. Is that all the exciting and commercial stuff happening?
Yes.
P&G pipeline rerouting. What can we say? We're not supposed to say. It's in the works. It is in progress. Item C, NCDOT projects. We know we have the roundabout at Wesley Chapel and Potter. I did speak with Sean Efferson, and they have estimated overruns. This is why we keep money in the bank. They have estimated overruns of $900,000. This is why we keep money in the bank. We don't spend all of our money. So they are going to move forward with the project. So that means Wesley Chapel will be on the hook for half of that. That's a lot of money. This is why we keep money in the bank, folks. They're going to move forward with the project and apply for, and hope to apply for shortfall dollars from Sierra. Project overrun costs. Isn't that what they call it? Project overruns from CRPCA. So let me just say that one more time. We keep money in the bank because projects go over budget and we need money in the bank. That's why there is $2 million in the bank. In one swoosh email, $450,000 gone. We keep money in the bank. So we will not know about overruns for that until the project is complete and they apply for, or almost close to completion, and they apply for shortfall funding. They're still projected to begin construction in the summer. Temporary lane at Newtown and Cuthbertson. Thank you to Jim and Mike for keeping the ball rolling on that. Bjorn did reach out that the plans have been approved. They were slightly modified and submitted to NCDOT. Bjorn met with the developer last week on November 4th and reported that the new designs allow more of the improvements to be utilized as part of the future roundabout, as well as reduce tree loss for the homes near Farm Creek Road. The developer's intent is to start prep work over the winter and install the turn lane in the spring when it's warm enough again. Plan approval will take approximately 8 weeks, given Hurricane Helene is using a lot of the resources. So that's promising. And I do like the fact that they are saving some trees and planning to incorporate some design changes that can be used in the future roundabout. That's very surprisingly smart of them.
Couple of follow-up questions.
Sure.
Who notifies the affected property owners, us or the county?
That would be DOT.
Can we confirm that they're going to do that so that we don't get an angry person come up to the podium and say, why did this happen and nobody told me? Just,
No, I'm going to let DOT do their job.
they're not going to yell at DOT, they're going to come and stand at the podium unless we don't at least confirm that they know.
I'll give them Sean Everton's direct line.
And
Also, there is a website, guys, you can share with your neighbors. We talked about it before, but DOT does have a complaint reporting website for potholes, signage, and those typically get a lot faster response than we can give because it generates a ticket number or something. It generates something that they have to respond to. So those typically get a quicker response time. So tell your neighbors, there's a pothole, don't call town hall, go to DOT, submit it online, and that will get it to their attention faster.
It's a work order system, I believe.
Yeah.
It was a week to get the potholes filled at the entrance to Dugwood Park. That's when I filed a complaint on the website, 1 week. Came out before that.
In front of my house, I reported 48 hours.
Yeah.
48 hours they come.
I had a resident complain about a sign. It was replaced the next day.
So just go to the DOT website and there's a link there to.
I think it's like report a concern or submit a complaint.
I just looked it up. I just searched NCDOT potholes. There's a pothole page, and towards the bottom of the page, there's a section for report a pothole, and then it asks for address and things like that.
And there's a whole bunch of other different options you can pick.
If your car is damaged by a pothole, will they
I would,
reimburse you?
There is filing a property damage claim on the bottom, yes.
No, you do not need to run intentionally into the pothole, just.
so
I'm ready to get rid of this car.
we have seen really fast response to those complaints.
Yeah, one of my neighbors got a flat tire because of a pothole on West Davis Road.
And the more complaints, the faster, you know. There's a whole street where people complain. It's a lot of attention.
one other clarification, when you spoke with Bjorn, you said that the left turn lane was going to be set up so that there'll be less work when the roundabout goes in. Does that mean they're going to move the utilities back far enough where it only have to be moved once?
He didn't say that. He just said the new designs allow more improvements to be utilized as part of the future roundabout, as well as reduce tree loss for the homes near Farm Creek Road. Okay. So then we get to David's post office box.
Yes.
Do you want to be the post office chairman? Because I tried and they acted like I was so large or invisible.
Yeah. I mean, I would like us to, well, let me back up. I would like an update on who we talked to before, how long ago it's been, and, yeah, I'd be open to pitching it again to,
I'll find my notes in here.
okay.
May I ask, are you just wanting a blue box to drop mail in, or are you wanting a post office?
A blue box, or
And we asked about blue box, and I said no.
Okay.
They said there's one on Providence.
Do you want me to follow up on that, or is that something council is going to handle?
could we do it together?
Sure. I mean, I don't mind if it's, yeah.
I mean, they closed the post office in Weddington, didn't they? They're at Gulf
Course links, golf links.
Grants.
Still,
Is it still in?
and then,
Because I was looking up, nearest post office in Providence last week, or 2 weeks ago, and it was not listed anymore.
we have one in Middle Springs. You have
No,
the,
oh, I know, but I was coming that way.
And one in
And
Providence.
it
South
was
Middle
not
Springs
listed,
is still there.
it wasn't listed. Where is that? Yes.
Is there,
For me to mail a letter with any certainty that it gets to the post office, I have to drive to Mineral Springs or I have to drive to Monroe.
I got a new trail.
I will send you, I will send you and Kathy all the correspondence I have. And I reached out to the postmaster, calling and emailing. Nothing. But I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
When we asked our postal guy, he literally laughed out loud and said there's one in Breakfast Road. But we can try.
Okay.
Maybe if we're not asking, maybe we start by asking for a post office. And then we say, okay, we're sticking with this. All right, but we will leave that on the agenda, David, so we can stay on top of that.
I would just stress when you talk to them that the increase in residents, that's basically what's based on how many residents will be affected by it.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, if you had a cluster mailbox, you wouldn't have that problem, because it's got a drop box in it.
There is a drop box right here.
Cluster drop box. We complain too much.
That's my point. I mean, we've got a Dropbox here. So the postal service is servicing that Dropbox. What's the difference between a Dropbox this big and a Dropbox this big?
Nobody knows it's here.
Mr. Downs.
The Postnet, I don't know if you know this, but the Postnet closed in August, so if that's what you referred to, then that's not open. According to the USPS website, when I searched for post offices, surprisingly, Mr. Como, it does say that the post office that is on Providence Road and Gulf Links Drive is not there anymore, and this is going out 20 miles, which I'm a bit surprised as well, because I thought it was open as well.
I don't believe everything here on the internet.
This is
No,
true.
the one at Golf Links is closed. It's fine.
I was just there 2 weeks ago.
It's not there.
Do they still have the blue box? Can we steal it?
That's a great idea. Let's say that.
That's a federal offense, so I
I'm gonna put on my candy
players.
up there tonight.
Just get a big piece of cardboard, make a flip.
Okay, so we will get on that, we will leave it on the agenda. So before we go into a closed session, do we want to do council and mayor comments so these beautiful people don't have to stay? Stay if they want, but after that, I'm going to quickly adjourn.
Well, I'll start. Congratulations, Joel, on
Thank you.
the Board of Adjustment. And the new committee, I hope this is going well. I'm excited about looking to see what you guys can do in the future.
Next.
I guess the only thing I would say is one, nice work on the new committee, been some progress. I've got to learn the name of it the right direction. With it, and just to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving, safe travels for those of you who will be traveling.
David and Mike?
Go ahead, David.
Union County will host a CRTPO meeting on December the 2nd. For anybody who wants information on dialing in, or I'm assuming it's open to the general public.
This is a special meeting for you, because our voters did not have December meetings.
My understanding is it's an open meeting to discuss just general Union County issues.
I do know that we probably have an unhappy neighbor in Waxhaw. Because Vaughn, as our representative, voted against the Waxhaw Parkway amendment, which I feel like was the right decision. Although it's still passed and going to the CLPT board. But Waxhaw is also having a mass staff exodus, so
Yes, they are.
staff probably isn't too upset with us because they're leaving. So, anything else, Mr. Morris?
The meeting is to share information about candidate projects for submittal to the CRTPO for evaluation of the development of 2055 MTP. That's it.
Mr. Turner?
Pass.
The only comment I have is thank you all for coming out tonight and joining us. We appreciate seeing you and having people listen to us when we talk. So thank you, and please have a safe drive home.